back, everybody, to another episode of the Blazer Victory Podcast. This is John Duncan, and of course, I'm joined as always with my co-hosts Darion Smith and Jimmy Marion. Guys, did it feel weird to y'all that we didn't record the last 2 days? Because for a while we were banging them one after the other, and it's like, man, felt kind of awkward not recording an episode for a couple of days.
Yeah, we had to, get a little rest and recover. But, here for a quick hitter, I'm excited about this matchup just one more time to beat up on a lesser opponent in Southern Miss.
There you go. It just feels weird not having any college basketball games tonight, after all these months of watching college basketball. And regardless if we're recording a pod talking about one of our games, just feels weird. Luckily, we got only one day of a break, and then we start games back up tomorrow.
It's crazy. But guys, our listeners, thank you so much for making our Conference USA Tournament Special Series another success this year. In fact, we grew this year from last year. So I know the result wasn't what we wanted on Saturday, but thank you to all our listeners that have checked out blazervictory.com and have listened to all their episodes. If for some reason you missed those episodes, I mean, me personally, I still think, it would be worth going back and listening to each one, the quarterfinals, semifinals, championship. Maybe you can skip the championship game recap, but hey, we all had a blast making those episodes. So if you missed them, blazervictory.com, check them out. Articles, merch. I'm rocking a Blazer Victory podcast hoodie right now. I think it's getting below freezing tonight where I'm located, so I'll be snug and warm in my Blazer Victory podcast hoodie. But you don't have one? Hey, go to www.blazervictory.com and get yourself a hoodie. But guys, it's officially NIT time. Before we get into discussing the NIT matchup game with Southern Miss, I felt that we need to have a discussion. Now, I would have never thought that this actually would be a discussion, so I'm very curious to see what you two guys think. But we had some feedback. I remember Richard bringing it up and a couple others on YouTube and Twitter. But the question was brought up would be, would you rather lose in the opening game of the NCAA tournament or play in the NIT and win the NIT? So, Darion, I want to hear your thoughts first. If you had to choose between making the NCAA tournament, knowing you're going to lose that opening game, or playing in the NIT and winning the whole thing, which would you prefer?
I think for me, at first when you hear it, right, it feels like a no-brainer. It's like you always want a chance to make the big dance and have a special run and see what happened, because those are the top teams there, and you want to be part of that 68. And it just feels like everything after that is, I'm not going to say scraps, but you know what I'm saying. It's not the main dance. You're not going for the main party, so you always want a chance. But I do think that context is needed in order to really be able to answer that question, because if you are a program that's been haven't been making any postseason tournament in a while, then you're looking for some momentum. If you can get an NIT and win the NIT, but over just getting first round matchup as a 14th seed and getting slaughtered. If you can go in there and you can win the NIT, maybe you go on this special run. If your fans are starving for any kind of championship, starving for a win, I can see it. I can see a world where the NIT run can be more special, because you can really gain some momentum and gain some confidence going into the next year. You can gain some buzz around your team. So I think context provided. I think that we are a team of, we have expectations with Coach Kennedy in our history. So I think I would rather make the big dance. I think we're ready to take that next step. But I mean, say we were coming from those Eason years where we didn't have much going on at all, I would take a good NIT run, and we get into the championship game of the NIT just to get that buzz and getting on TV more, just getting some fan excitement, getting some fans, and being able to host a couple games as a top seed in the NIT. In that situation, I would take it.
Jimmy, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, for me, I mean, it's hard to put a price on all the additional marketing you get via the selection show, people filling out their brackets, the interest that you're going to draw from the casual fan that may not know who UAB is, may not know who our mascot is, who our best players are, who coaches our team, like the marketing that you get from random casual fans that are looking at the statistics to say, UAB 12 seed or so and so 5 seed. There's just so much that goes into that. And everything leading up from the selection show to the Thursday, Friday is just, I would envision, like, even if you're knocked out in the first game, like the marketing and the publicity that you're going to get during that like 4 or 5 day period may surmount the marketing and the publicity that you get for several weeks in NIT. Because let's be honest, how many people are going to the ESPN app today and they're switching the NCAA tournament button to NIT to see who's playing in that bracket? We have teams like North Carolina that said no thanks. So there's a few things that I think about, but I can certainly understand someone wanting to make the argument that momentum that you could gain, the, call it whatever it would be, 4 or 5 games versus 1 game, the additional practices, all of that. Like, I can certainly understand that. Something that might change up the conversation a little bit this year is that the NIT is no longer the semifinals, and the championship game are no longer in Madison Square Garden. So I'm not sure how many people know that. It's actually going to be in Vegas, and from what I understand, on a converted ice hockey rink. So that'll be something interesting.
Better throw that curtain in between.
That's right. Get that curtain up. I got a question for you guys, though. Do either of y'all know who won the NIT last year?
Xavier. And the only reason I know that is because I was doing research for this podcast.
How many of our listeners knew who won the NIT? How many of our listeners have filled out an NIT bracket in a year in which your team was not in the NIT? So, those are just things I'm saying. Like, that's not to discredit. Everybody deserves to have a voice. I can certainly understand the other side of it, but those are just things that come to mind when I think about the question. And by the way, I really like these like hypothetical questions. I think we should throw more of these in here.
Me too. Hey, and I was gonna say, I think it was Richard and Muck on Twitter. Like, hey, if y'all ever have some like hypothetical questions or deep discussion questions that you guys want us to talk about and elaborate on, hey, throw them. Share with us on Twitter at BlazerPod. Because to be honest, like, I'm glad, Darion, that you brought up what you said, that it might be a thing where a team, a young team, maybe they want to go on a run, instead of just coming into NCAA tournament and getting blown out by 30 points or whatever, like kind of build some momentum heading into the next season, especially if you have a younger team. Because from my perspective, when somebody brought that up, I was like, are you crazy? Like, 100% I would take the loss in the NCAA tournament, because that just appearance, like what Jimmy was saying, that appearance alone in the NCAA tournament, like, blows away anything, what you might do in the NIT. But I'm glad, Darion, you brought that up, because, I can see that now.
Yeah, I think the key to the question when you said is like, if you're going to get beat. So I'm thinking, like, if we knew we were a mid like team, we weren't really going to win nothing in the big dance. Not a talented, could get hot team, but a team that just got lucky in the tournament, right? And then you get in as a lower seed, we're going to get slaughtered by 37 points. I really don't have any interest in being part of that. If that's the kind of setup. But now if you take this UAB team, I would take this team and put them in the tournament, because I feel like we can win on any given day against anybody, because we have the players that can mentally all of a sudden want to, get it together, and we're taking good shots, and Jelly might get hot, and Ladarius Brewer, and then Taven Lovin is windmilling, and next thing you know, Eric Gaines is dunking on 7-footers and we win the game. You know what I'm saying? So, I would take this team above, like if I can if you can match us up against anybody, put us put us in that Birmingham bracket, let us go against Alabama. Hey, put us in the matchup against Auburn, like you know what I'm saying? I like our chances that we can pull something off. But bro, you take one of those teams when we know we weren't good and we just sacrificial lambs. Like, what are we doing? Like, come on, man, what are we doing? I don't want to. I just don't have any interest in being part of that. Like a lot of these lower tier seed teams, that's finna get D breaks beat off of them. Yeah, all right. I'm happy. I'm happy you guys made it in. So
I don't know, but I think that's what makes the March Madness fun. I mean, well, I know for this question we said the hypothetical is you're gonna get your butt whooped, but I think that with the NCAA tournament, like I think that's what makes it so much fun, like because these the UMBCs upsetting Virginia, and we had a bunch last year too, but I think that's just what makes it fun. Like I can't remember what the spread on the Iowa State game where UAB upset Iowa State, but I mean we were a 14 seed and they were a 3 seed, and a lot of people didn't have us winning that game, and you see what happened. But I don't
So
know.
what do y'all think with last year's team? Right, we went one game in, we lost to Houston. When you think back to last year's team, would you have preferred to see us go in the NIT and beat Xavier in Madison Square Garden?
No.
I mean,
like last year team, that was a good team. I like this, and I just hate it. I ain't gonna lie. I knew when we drew Houston, I was like, yeah, I mean, come on. I started looking at the film. I was like, ooh, this it's crazy when the film talk to you. Like it's not the fandom, but if you go look at another team's film, it's like, hey, bro, I'm not really seeing it. We're gonna have to have Jesus as shooting guard, and
we need a John L. Davis. Yeah, we need
John L.
Oh my
Davis.
gosh, yes.
And we're gonna have to have prime Moses running point guard, but yeah, man. Some of those lower tier SWAC teams that's getting in there, they gotta face these these number one seeds. It's kind of like, all right, come on, let's just get this out the way. Let this, just please, guys, like let's get out of here safe and with some dignity in yourself. But I get it though. It's a puncher's chance, and you still gotta get on the court and win the game on the court. So I get it. That is part of what makes March Madness special. I'm still waiting to see that SWAC team beat one of those ACC Big Ten teams. That'll be special.
Yeah, that would, and I think it'll happen one day. I mean, we always said a 16 was never going to beat a 1, and then a few years ago, UMBC, the Retrievers, took down Virginia, and then
Yes.
the very next year, Virginia won the championship. So
yes, that was wild.
Definitely. Well, before we preview our matchup, I do want to give a quick shout out. We were recording this Monday night, March the 13th. And it is Andy Kennedy's birthday. So happy birthday to Coach Andy Kennedy. And also, it's Trent Dilfer's birthday. Did you guys know that Trent Dilfer and Andy Kennedy have the same birthday? Like on March 13th? That's crazy. Like, has that happened before where two of your, head coaches at basketball and football share the same birthday?
Must be a sign. It must be a sign. I'm taking all signs, all good omens. That means a championship is on the way. I don't know how I correlated that, but that's just what that means. Astrology somewhere. I don't know.
There you go. Well, guys, we do have some basketball. This episode is being dropped Tuesday morning, so tonight UAB will play in Bartow Arena, host an NIT game for the first time. Oh my goodness, I had my notes. Hold on.
2010.
It's 2010, yeah. So I mean, it's been a minute. It's even been a minute since UAB's been in the NIT. You have to go back to the 15-16 season. UAB fell in Provo to BYU. But
yeah,
2010, was that your first year at UAB, Darion?
Yes, 2010 is. Yeah, that was definitely my first year.
That was
Yeah.
my freshman year at UAB. Where were you at, John?
I was a freshman at at a college at 2010, so I was also a freshman. But wait, hold on. Wait, hold on. Yeah, because I graduated college in 2014. Yeah, so 2010 would have been my freshman year, at a school down south. But yeah, that's crazy. So we're all relatively the same age.
With Darion, I think that you were in junior college first, right?
Ah, that's right. So he's a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
older.
I
He's a
was
little older.
I was a junior transferring in. I wish I would have got a red shirt year, but you know, too talented for that.
That's right.
But yeah. I forgot where we was at. We getting off track here.
We're gonna preview the game tonight. Southern Miss comes to town, a good old Conference USA rival who's in the Sun Belt now. But Southern Miss will come to Bartow Arena tonight, Tuesday night at 6:30. So I know there was a lot of going back and forth on social media after the NIT bracket was unveiled on ESPNU. ESPNU initially said it was Wednesday. That is incorrect. The game is tonight, Tuesday night at 6:30. So please, if you haven't already, get your tickets. UABsports.com or call the ticket office or just show up early before 6:30 to make sure you get a ticket to the NIT. Like Jimmy just mentioned, it's been a long time since UAB's hosted an NIT game, but we were talking a little bit before we started recording. This is a completely different Southern Miss team. I'll let Jimmy elaborate on it. But I mean, there's only one name that I recognized in prepping for this show, and that's Pinckney. And UAB faced him a couple times. In fact, real good nugget is that Andy Kennedy at UAB is 4-0 as a head coach against Southern Miss. So the last couple years, he hasn't lost to Southern Miss.
Yeah, I was
But
watching Southern Miss in the Sun Belt tournament, and I think they had a graphic that came up that said Southern Miss has the biggest turnaround in Division I history. They went 7-26. They went 1-17 in Conference USA. Turnaround in the next year, they win the regular season championship in the Sun Belt Conference. So I know some of y'all are going to have some thoughts about the Sun Belt and the difficulty of that conference, but needless to say, that's pretty impressive, right? And when I'm looking at their roster, you look at their top 5 contributors. To John's point, I only recognize one name. Funny story about Pinckney. So I believe Pinckney is one of the prospects I got an extra year because of the COVID year. He was a JUCO guy. I think it was Andy's first year. He was getting interviewed after post game. It must have been when Southern Miss had played, or we had played at Southern Miss, and he was talking about how Pinckney was one of the guys that he had recruited, and Pinckney didn't pick up the phone. So I thought that was really funny. So I think Pinckney probably regretted that decision his first 2 years at Southern Miss, but kudos to him for sticking it out and then having a really tremendous senior season. But they're a completely different team. Last year they were sub 300 in offensive efficiency and defensive efficiency, but they're top 120 in both of those categories this year. When I look at Southern Miss, they actually do have some impressive wins. So they went on the road in non-conference play. They won at Vanderbilt and they won at Liberty. Those are both teams that are in the NIT this year. And you look at 5 of their 7 losses, they came to teams ranked top 100 in the KenPom. 2 of those times were to South Alabama. So for me, one of the keys to the game is I got to find a South Alabama basketball jersey. I'm going to sit in the front row, and then I'm just going to just distract them, because they don't want to play against South Alabama. So that's obviously something that they didn't do well with this year, but completely different team. What do you think, Darion?
Well, I do remember. I don't know much about Southern Miss, to be honest. But me and John, we were discussing beforehand, and we see that they play South Alabama. As you mentioned, they played South Alabama 3 times. So I am familiar with South Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
I remember exactly how they played. Now, they were able to beat South Alabama in Hattiesburg. But South Alabama whooped up on them twice.
Mm-hmm.
once in the tournament and once at home. And they, when I say they whooped up on them, they whooped up on them.
Beat down.
Like it was beat downs. So and I remember South Alabama wasn't that much of a talented team, but they did have some of that guard play that I hate when they bag you down. Those type of, they weren't very tall guards. They was just like stocky 6'3" guys, just bagging Jelly down and doing hook shots like a Hakeem Olajuwon as a point guard. It's just so yucky to me, but it was effective. And it was a period of time when we played them. I think we ended up beating them by 8 when we played them here in Birmingham. It was times that we threatened to run away with the game, but they always kind of pulled it back. All that to say is, we would never get blown out by South Alabama like that. I can tell you that. If we play South Alabama 10 times, I say we would win 7 or 8. They were getting smashed by them. Now, Jimmy did add a caveat that they did beat Vandy at Vandy, Liberty at Liberty. Those are very valuable wins. So I can't. This is not a team you can take lightly because those are good wins. There's no other way to slice that. So I guess with them, I haven't watched any film, but my guess is if you're losing like this twice to South Alabama, but you're able to get quality wins on the road like that, you must have a Jekyll and Hyde going on with your team, or it's a matchup thing. So honestly, I probably won't be able to get film on them until early tomorrow. But I'll tweet out what I think about it. If it's going to be a matchup thing, I don't know if they're long and athletic. I don't know if they're a connected team with depth. It's different ways that they might play it. So I'm anxious to see the film on them and see what areas that we might attack.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, but when Darion mentions, they got beat down by South Alabama. They won by 30 in Mobile, and then they beat them by double digits in the quarterfinals of the Sun Belt tournament to send Southern Miss home early. But to both of you guys' point, this is a very talented Southern Miss team. They went 25-7. Jimmy's already given off, a couple of their big wins. But I think UAB's backcourt is going to have to be the focus of this ball game. Like, can Jelly have a good game? Can Eric have a good game? Can they distribute the ball well? Because if we only have 3 assists this game, there's no way they're going to win. And I bet a lot of Southern Miss fans make the trip over from Hattiesburg to Birmingham because their fan base is really excited about this matchup. This is the first time that Southern Miss has got in the postseason since, oh my goodness, before they went through probation with I can't even remember the guy, the coach. But it's been a while since Southern Miss has been in the postseason. So Southern Miss fans are excited about this game. I think UAB fans are excited as well. Of course, it's not an NCAA tournament game, but it's still, another chance for these seniors to play in Bartow Arena in front of a good home crowd. Hopefully a couple more times, but at least, one more time. But one guy that stands out to me in film for Southern Miss is junior guard Austin Crowley. He's averaging 16 points a game, 6'4", 184 from West Point. He's a Mississippi boy. He's shooting the ball 46%.
Started out at Ole Miss too.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
He was there. I don't know if Andy recruited him, but if I looked at it right, he's 2019. I think Andy Kennedy had left in 2018, so I don't know if there was some crossover there, but yeah, he's talented. And you got Felipe. Is it Haas? Is it Haas? Is it Hasse? How are we going to pronounce it?
How is ESPN Plus going to pronounce it?
Yeah, that's a 3-point shooter right there. We talked about Pinckney. Those are some guys to watch, like, for sure. I like what Darion said. You were questioning Darion, kind of like, is it a Jekyll and Hyde thing? When I was trying to find some trends of in their losses, what's going on, this isn't rocket science, but they turn the ball over a lot, in inopportune times. So you look at some of their losses, just kind of reading here. They lost to Northwestern State. That was one of their really bad losses. They had 19 turnovers. UNLV, they turned the ball over 25 times. And I want to read another, just not turn the ball over, but the other team getting steals. So Northwestern stole the ball 14 times. UNLV stole it 13. Louisiana 10. Marshall 10. South Alabama 8. South Alabama 8. So there's a lot of steals. And so for me, I'm going to be interested to see, that 1-3-1 that we like to switch to and play. Can we kind of really can Eric Gaines get in those passing lanes and get some deflections, and Ty Brewer getting his hand on the ball, and Tony, it's been quite some time. I mean, heck, when was the last time that South Alabama played a game? I mean, did they play a week and a half ago? So they're certainly going to be rested, but at the same time, they're going to be rusty. So I'm interested to see, if we're able to turn them over and kind of just get get going in transition to get some easy buckets to kind of just get our mojo back after what was a tough loss on Saturday. But, they're a good defensive team too. So they rank third in the Sun Belt in points allowed per game at 65.4 per game. So, I mean, I'm certainly nervous going to the game tomorrow. John talked about people coming over from Hattiesburg and being excited. I do think that there are some UAB fans that are excited about the matchup because of the regular name. But I do openly admit too, there's some lag and maybe a little bit of lack of energy because we were so close, to the NCAA tournament. So hopefully what we can see tomorrow night is a few early turnovers, a few Tony and Ty Brewer dunks and big shots from Jelly, so we can get a little bit of a lead, and then we can start really hoping to make a run in this NIT.
I think the seniors will be excited about, being able to have an opportunity to have a curtain call at UAB, kind of like knowing that
Curtain.
this, knowing that this, huh?
I see what you did there with the curtain.
Nah, the curtain. Hey, that would have. If I wanted to, I should have intentionally did that. That would be pretty cool. I didn't even intentionally do that, but yeah, this would be. I think they're excited about another opportunity to have a home game, and I really feel like these players are connected to the program. You can feel the love. You can tell. You can see how much Jelly loves the program, and I love that. I love when, because it feels like, he's embracing you as a person. Like that's because we all make up this program. We're all family. And I love when a player that we support so much, that we love so much, love you back just as much. And so I think all of those guys feel the same, and I think they want to go out with the bang, not with that game. So I don't think there'll be any lag. And let's face it, like, I don't like Southern Miss. I really don't like Southern Miss. I don't like anything about Southern Miss. I don't think nobody affiliated with this program like Southern Miss. I don't like their fans. I know a lot of the students there. I don't like their students. I don't like their alum. So I'm pretty sure the hatred is still there in the fabric of the team. So I want to see that hatred emerge. I want to see us go up by 25. I want to see KJ Buffin get a tick. I want to see all of the bad stuff happen to Southern Miss. I do not like them at all.
They some snitches, man. That's what it is. Real quick, one more thing, and then we can put it to bed. But you look at Ken Palm, and he has a something that he uses in his rankings called the luck rating. And you look at Southern Miss's, and they're ranked 17th, so they've been really extremely lucky this season. And just real quick, I mean, this is going to be super quick observation about Ken Palm's luck rating, but it's just the deviation between the team's actual winning percentage and just the expected performance above the metrics. So in contrast, I mentioned Southern Miss is 17th ranked luck factor. Look at UAB, 253. So
everything we got, we had to fight for. No luck involved at all.
That Ty Brewer last second
Middle Tennessee.
I had to bump us down like 50 points.
Maybe more than that. But yeah, but that's just one more thing I wanted to bring up. But hey guys, we hope to see you at Bartow Arena. Again, 6:30 tonight. If you can't make it out, you can stream it on ESPN Plus. before we wrap this up, guys, I do wanted to just talk a little bit about the NIT bracket as I get it pulled up. So UAB is the 4 seed hosting Southern Miss. They will get the winner of Clemson and Morehead State. Now, Clemson and Morehead State, they play Wednesday night at Clemson. Clemson's the number 1 seed. If UAB can beat Southern Miss tonight and Morehead State beat Clemson tomorrow night, at Wednesday night, then UAB will get to host the quarterfinal matchup in Bartow Arena. Sorry, not the quarterfinals, the second round matchup in Bartow Arena. And that'll be either the 18th or the 19th. That'll be TBD. But if Clemson wins, then UAB will have to go to Clemson unless Katy Perry or Mariah Carey is performing at Clemson. Then they'll bump it to Bartow. But hey, you've also got, we were talking about Vanderbilt earlier. Vanderbilt's in our little corner of the bracket along with Michigan. So, I mean, guys, we had a couple listeners comment that we were dissing the NIT or saying that, we were terrible for not wanting to cover the NIT. We never said we didn't want to cover the NIT. We were wanting to leave it up to you guys and girls, our listeners, to say, hey, do you want us to cover it? We were giving you the option. We would talk if they're playing in the Dollar General tournament or whatever. We would still talk about it, because we love UAB athletics, bleed green and gold. Of course, we would talk about it, but we just wanted to make sure, that you guys would want to listen to us talk about the NIT. But I say all that to say, guys, there's some exciting, name brands in this NIT. Rutgers, Michigan, Vanderbilt, Florida, Oregon, North Texas.
North Texas.
I had to slide that in. Yes.
Yeah, come on, North Texas, win. We win.
We'll see you in Vegas.
Yeah, come on. Let's see our son Tyler Perry in the championship. We ready for it? Come on now. I want to see North Texas. I want them to get through their bracket. Come on, it's just set up too perfectly. Let's do it.
Hey, I will say, John, you're reading through those teams. I mean, there's some really interesting storylines here. If UAB takes care of business, Clemson's a 16.5-point favorite against Morehead State at the time being. That's going to be tough for them to get knocked off at home. But if we do play at Clemson, y'all know whose career started at Clemson? Trey Jemison. That's a homecoming, right? That's a pretty cool story to come full circle, to go to Clemson, to come back home to Birmingham, the mayor, and then to be able to go back to the ACC school where he started for a chance to knock off a 1 seed. And then you're looking at the other teams below us on the bracket, I should specify. Vanderbilt with Jerry Stackhouse, SEC, that would be on the road. That would be exciting. That's a drivable trip. You could look at potentially going up to Michigan. I believe they're coached by Juwan Howard, right? I still think so. I think. And, that's a pretty big game. And then, heck, if Toledo knocks off Michigan, rematch. So we could get rematch against Toledo. So, there are some really exciting things. We, of course, have to take care of business this evening. But as we look forward, wouldn't that be something to see Trey Jemison knock off Clemson and then to potentially get matched up, SEC road trip to Michigan, or maybe if we get lucky enough to host Toledo in Bartow and be able to get some revenge on those guys.
And if you guys start buying some Blazer Victory Podcast hoodies, maybe we can make the trip up there.
Yeah, because winter just is not slacking up. So
yeah, we need to. I need a hoodie right now for tomorrow.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's cold.
Get the freeze one. And hey, real quick too, Juwan Howard is still coaching it.
There you go.
So,
yeah.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, that'll about do it. Excited to see what happens tonight in Bartow Arena. Hopefully have a good crowd and honor those seniors again. But Darion, you want to send us out until next time?
Blazer Nation, let's ride.